Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me today on Yoyo. My name is T. Sorry, it's a really windy day. I hope it doesn't sound too bad during the video, but I'll do my best to talk over it if I can. I just can't wait to shoot anymore. Today we're going to be looking at another yo-yo that I received in a trade. This is the first yo-yo from this company that I've ever played with, and I gotta say, if everything that they have is as good as this, I'm excited to try the rest of their line. Today... it's in my eye. Today we're going to be looking at the AceYo Gravitation. So does this yo-yo have what it takes to break the laws of gravity, or is it just going to pull you right down to earth? The AceYo Gravitation is a really fun and interesting little W shape. You can see it's pretty much as straight W as you can get. There's a sharp rise from the gap and then these big rims. I guess some people might say it's kind of an H, but it has that very slight slope that the W's have. Instead of having that really sharp giant rims, there's this straight line going up here, and then basically the same angle continues, but you just have more weight on the rims. I've gotten more and more used to W shapes over my time playing yo-yos, and this one is kind of the best W I think I've played. Inside the cup there are several little cuts, and inside you're going to see a very small, right in here, this little finger spin dimple. It's a bit hard to see here, and it's extremely shallow as you can see, so we'll get into that in a little bit. The material is 7075, which is very interesting because this is definitely a budget yo-yo, so we'll get into that in a little bit. You've got the black yo-yo, which is really nice and clean, this really sleek shape, but then you've got this blue and pink splash, and then some of the places where it melts together, it's almost purplish. This yo-yo is just gorgeous. I love this colorway. And as you can see, it goes very nicely with Zipline Spring Edition. The look, as I said, is quite sharp because it is a W shape, but it's nice because these rims are a bit rounded off, so it's not as sharp as it could be. And it does feel comfortable. Of course, most yo-yos these days are going to feel comfortable. That's not really an issue anymore, but it is nice that they rounded off these corners, and it's not as narrow as some other W shapes I've played, so the feel in the hand is very nice. It doesn't feel overly big or overly small. Kind of right in the wheelhouse for what I like in a shape. Here it is next to a couple other yo-yos. We've got it next to the Y01 node. You can see it's not really that much bigger. In fact, it's very, very close. Maybe a little bit bigger diameter. Here it is next to a Magic Yo-Yo carp fin. You can see definitely the diameter is bigger for sure. Also, the carp fin is a little bit wider as well. Here it is next to the iYoyo Iceberg. You can see the diameters are actually really close on this one. But the width of the Gravitation is a little bit bigger. Here it is next to my favorite baby, the Wolfgang. You can see the diameter is just a little bit bigger. And width is pretty much almost the same, but the Wolfgang is just a hair wider. So first of all, I just want to say this is a yo-yo that I got in a trade from Instagram user Boogie22091. They very kindly reached out to me and actually asked if I was willing to trade my Cabal from One Drop, and since I hadn't played that yo-yo in a really, really long time, so he traded me the Yo-Yo Empire Cloudfly. There's a video coming soon on that. And he also traded me the AceYo Gravitation. So I knew a little bit about AceYo. I'd seen a couple reviews on YouTube before. Throw 8, which is a really, really awesome YouTube channel, which they've only made one video. Come on, man, I need to see more content from you. That review was awesome. He did one on another AceYo, and he talked a little bit about the Gravitation in that video. But I was really curious to try it because this is a budget yo-yo, but it's also 7075. So the Gravitation is very, very quick on the string, and that wasn't something I expected when I first picked it up. When I first picked it up, I actually wrote down that it was a bit on the slow side. I felt like it was a bit dense. The more you play with this, the more you're gonna find that it really hauls, especially when you wanna push it. I was surprised at how quickly I could change direction with it. Because of the shape, it's not too narrow or anything, and you don't have too much string drag, so it feels really good when you're playing on the string. No problems when you're trying to get in a slack or whip or anything like that. I'm sorry guys, it's really windy right now. Stuff in my mouth and everything. But I find it is wide enough to catch. It's no problem with catchability, even though when you first look at it, it might look a little bit narrow, but it's not the case at all. The smooth blast is really nice. It feels great in the hand, it feels great to hold, feels great to play. And because of that smooth blast, it grinds beautifully. You might think at first when you look at this that it's making a lot of contact with your finger, but somehow it just sits on there very nicely, it's stable, and because of that nice smooth blasted finish, it just grinds so beautifully. Now a little bit more about the finish as well. This strikes a perfect balance between that really ceramic-y, dry, chalky feel, which I really don't like, and the kind of glossy of some other yo-yos. It's a perfect balance of the two. It gets it perfectly matte without being too dry or chalky, but there's no sense of gloss to this at all. It's a truly matte finish. Not only does it have a smooth blast, but it's actually dead smooth on the string as well. This was sent in the box from Boogie with a 10-ball flat bearing, which was de-shielded. That thing was perfectly smooth. He also sent the original bearing that came with it, and it wasn't that smooth with that one. Now, after looking through all my bearings and finding a nice, I think this is a center track or something, that I could trust to be really smooth, I threw that in there, and it's still dead smooth. This is one of the smoothest yo-yos I have, which is crazy for a yo-yo that's not only 7075, but also budget. I can't really believe that this thing is as smooth as it is. Now finger spins are going to be a little bit of an issue. You can see in here, as I mentioned, there is a little bit of a finger spin dimple, but there's no sense of guidance. So if you catch this thing on the finger, it does rotate around like crazy, and the spin will die pretty quick. The only way to get a finger spin, you'd have to do that trick where you're kind of pulling on the string and getting it centered by yourself, centered right dead on the nail. Ugh, seasonal allergies. And it's really hard to maintain your finger spin as well. So once you catch it, once you're holding it there, you've got to really concentrate. You got to keep pressure on that string, make sure you keep holding it. And once you get it there perfectly, you can kind of relax a little bit, but then getting it out of the bind is also tricky because sitting in that little spot, this is not very deep. It's a pretty shallow little dimple, so you're going to find that it's extremely difficult and extremely sensitive when it's spinning on your fingers. So it's not really the easiest yo-yo to finger spin with. Not all yo-yos need to finger spin, and I do appreciate that it has the dimple. They did make an attempt at making this finger spin friendly, but it's just not the easiest one to do. The response is great. It's got that really satisfying ping sound when you bind it, especially if you got a string like the Zipline Spring Edition. You got to get a string that's not too fat, the string that's wound really tightly, and I find that those work really nicely with this. This response is just beautiful. No snagging, just a nice, clean, reliable bind every time. And it rings when you throw it. It sounds like a bell. I don't know if it's 7075 yo-yos, which a lot of the ones I have ring, or if it's the shape or something like that, but this yo-yo really rings, and I love that about it. I love yo-yos that have those special acoustics. It gives them like a really interesting character. Yeah, all around, I really like the Gravitation. I didn't expect to. I didn't really know what to expect from this thing because, like I said, I'd never had one before. And they're not the most famous company or anything like that. So I was really excited to try it out, and I'm excited to say that I really like the Gravitation. I think it's a really awesome yo-yo, especially for the price. It's like 30 or 40 bucks, something like that. It's 7075, cool performance shape. This is kind of the whole package. It's a great EDC, especially. I feel like a lot of yo-yos sometimes don't take advantage of the material 7075, you know, they kind of use it as a selling point, but there are some yo-yos where you can definitely feel the difference, and this is one of them. I feel like you could get this shape in 6061, sure, but they really did their best to make this more durable and kind of use the metal to distribute the weight a little bit more interestingly, give you these little cuts on the end that are not only functional but aesthetically pleasing as well. The ano is really nice. The black with the pink and blue splash is gorgeous. I don't see any sense of bleed or anything like that. I love the way the colors melt together. It's a beautiful yo-yo. The grinds are really nice because of the smoothness of the spin, because of the smoothness of the anodization. You're not going to have any problems with losing grinds at all. The sound it makes is nice. Like I said, it rings when you throw it, and there's something about the acoustics of a yo-yo. I don't know, it just makes it feel a little bit more unique. It gives it some character. The response is super great. I really like a yo-yo that comes back to you when you expect it to, and I love a yo-yo that doesn't snag. I mean, who doesn't? It's dead smooth, absolutely butter smooth. with the 10 ball that Boogie sent me in the package, and also with this really reliable center track or whatever this is that I found, it hasn't had any sense of vibe. When I first got it, like I said, I thought it was a bit slow and dense, but the more you play with it, the more you come to appreciate how fast it actually can go. It's reliable, there's something about it. The performance-y shape, the way the weight is distributed, the way the response works, everything about it just feels clean and reliable, like I know exactly what it's going to do and when it's going to do it. And it's got a true performance shape. I love that it's a W because I don't have many of these in my collection, so it is nice to have a W that's a bit more rounded off, a little bit more comfortable, but it doesn't go so far into like an organic shape that it isn't made for performance. So I think it's a really good balance. It kind of brings the two elements of comfort and performance together. As for cons, I don't have any problems with it. I think the things that people might complain about would be the shape. They might say, you know, W's are too sharp or whatever, but because the edges are rounded off, I don't really have a problem with that at all. It's very comfortable. And people could probably complain about the finger spin dimple. It really isn't the most helpful of finger spin dimples, and it takes a lot of concentration and focus to get it into the center, and then it takes a lot of concentration and focus to keep it there. So it's definitely going to be a yo-yo that it's not a finger spin monster, but if you work on it, if you practice at it, and if you're really diligent about getting a finger spin, then you're going to be able to do it. I think the Gravitation is an excellent opener in the AceYo line. They've got a lot of different yo-yos that I've been kind of looking at online. They've got like this 9 dragons type thing, lots of bimetals, lots of different really cool anodizations and stuff like that. And I think this thing only comes in at around 30 to 40 bucks. So for a W-shaped 7075 model, that's pretty much a steal. So I think for me at least, it's made me really, really interested in AceYo as a brand. So I'm excited to see the rest of what they have on offer. Alright, thank you so much for joining me today on Yoyo. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave me a like, a comment, a subscription. I'd really appreciate it. Sorry about the wind noise. I had to get out and make this video at some point. Thank you so much to CloZee for the use of their song Koto, which I used at the beginning and the end of this video. It's an excellent song. Go check it out, and make sure you go check out the rest of their stuff as well. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, have a nice day, and sayonara.